let's talk about my favorite products for pain with intimacy. So before I jump in, I just want to make sure I make very clear that these are some of the products that I recommend if you are actively having pain with intercourse or just with intimacy in general. Please know that this is not the end-all be-all list. This is not an exhaustive list. There are so many other strategies, so many other products out there, so many other ways that we can tackle pain with intimacy outside of these three main things that I'm going to cover today. But hopefully you still receive some value in this information that I share with you, and you can implement it into your own life so that you experience less pain during that intimate time. So the first product that we're going to talk about is lubrication, or lubricant, I should say. I want you to know right off the bat that lube may not necessarily solve all the pain you're experiencing, but it can significantly reduce, and honestly, sometimes it can eliminate pain with sex, with intimacy. And so my first recommendation is there's actually three main types of lube I want to talk about today. So my first recommendation is this lubricant right here. It is called Slippery Stuff. This is a type of water-based lube, and I love this because it doesn't have any fragrance, it's paraben-free, it has no glycerin, so a lot of the lube that you'll pick up at the store, typically like maybe KY jelly or Astroglide, things like that, they do have a lot of chemicals in them and they're not quite as natural, but this one is one of the best that I found that's water-based. This one is safe to use with condoms, so you are fine to use that if you use condoms as a form of birth control or protection from STDs, etc. And I really like this one because the texture of the lube itself is pretty realistic, and it's very, very similar to what natural lubrication from a woman would feel like or be like. So this is great. The next one I want to talk about is oil-based lubricants. So my favorite oil-based lubricant, natural oil-based, is coconut oil. So I love coconut oil just because it's natural. You can use this as massage oil, so full body massage, intimate massage. You can use it as lubricant as well during sex. The big thing though that you have to remember with oil-based lubricants is that oil can absolutely break down condoms, especially if you're using obviously like latex condoms. So you want to make sure that if you are using a natural oil for lube, just use a different type of birth control or just a different option, basically, because you don't want to break down latex condom, especially if you're trying to not get pregnant. If the condom rips obviously or breaks, then that can increase your chance of becoming pregnant with sex. The last one that I want to talk about is silicone lube. So this is typically, like, I do have this example here. This is an Astroglide silicone lube. This particular one is actually waterproof. So while I don't necessarily love Astroglide as a brand, just because I feel like it does have a lot of unnecessary chemicals in it, if you are looking into shower sex or hot tub sex or bath sex, whatever it is, water-based sex, sex in the ocean, whatever it is, this is going to be a good option for you because it is waterproof, meaning that it's not just going to wash off. So for example, this guy right here, Slippery Stuff, since this is water-based, it will just kind of dissolve right as the water hits it, and it'll just wash off your skin. But this one over here, this is a particular waterproof one. It is silicone-based, and we know that these are safe to use as well with condoms specifically. So that is my first suggestion, or my first product when it comes to pain with intimacy, is lubricant. Remember, lubricant should not be something that should be thought of as, oh man, like I am less than as a woman, or my body's not performing the way it should if I need to use lubricant. No, lubricant is there to enhance and make things more pleasurable. It increases glide, it increases the slickness of things, it decreases friction. The thing is that at the vulva, and really at the opening of the vagina, if you have friction there because of lack of lubricant, or lubrication I should say, you can increase the chance of micro tearing in that tissue, and that can be extremely painful, and we don't want to have small cuts there because obviously we think of like a paper cut on the rest of our skin, that hurts a lot. So imagine a cut at your vagina or a tear at your vagina, it's not going to feel good. So we want to reduce the chances of that happening by making sure there's sufficient lubrication. So that's my first thing, is don't be shy, use it. It makes it all in all a better experience for you if you do use it. And just one other quick note, as far as lubrication goes, if your natural lubrication is maybe not coming in, not arriving or presenting itself as it typically would, don't stress out about that or be anxious about that. I know that's easy for me to say, of course, but you should consider looking into working potentially with either a certified sex therapist or even like a licensed mental health counselor that can help you walk through why that may be happening, because sometimes it can be a mental thing, or sometimes it can be associated with what we call arousal non-concordance, which is simply where maybe your brain, emotionally, mentally, you are turned on and ready to go, but physically your body is not quite responding the way that we want it to be. And sometimes it can be reverse of that as well. That just simply means arousal non-concordance. There are ways that we can address that, or that it can be addressed with the help of professionals, so that you are basically working symbiotically with your body. Your brain and your body's response are matching in the way that you want them to. All right, second thing here, let's go ahead and talk about deep penetration or deep thrusting. How do we address pain with deep thrusting during the act of intimacy itself? So my favorite product for this is something that is called the O-Nut. The O-Nut is awesome. It is a ring, or I should say several little rings. These are made out of silicone as far as I'm aware. They are really stretchy. So you can see here, I'm gonna stick my thumbs in here. So they stretch pretty far. So these can fit over really any size toy, penis obviously. It can be even like a vibrator, a dildo, etc. But these are going to stretch. Let's say you're having, sex with a partner, so who is a male. So this can stretch right over his penis. So just to show you what that looks like, this is a dilator. This is a vaginal dilator. So this is not a dildo, even though it looks like one. This is actually a medical device that is used to help retrain the muscles in the vaginal canal inside of the pelvic floor, to help decrease pain with penetration or deep thrusting. And so the O-Nut, this is 3. So this little case right here, it comes with 4 of these buffer rings. My 4th one is right over here. And so what these do is they actually stack on top of each other. And the way that this works, if I turn it sideways, think of the vagina right here. This is going to act as a buffer to stop or limit how deep the penetration can go. So this is a really, really good option for those people who may feel like penetration is completely off the table. The O-Nut can be a really good way that we can still have some penetration, but maybe not quite as deep, so that the pain is lessened basically with these little buffers. Obviously, as far as pelvic floor therapy goes, so obviously in my work as a pelvic floor PT, there are plenty of strategies that I can do to help reduce pain with deep thrusting, deep penetration, exercises, manual release, breath work, etc., strengthening exercises in certain cases, relaxation exercises in other cases, etc. But the O-Nut can be a really, really good option for you in the meantime, as you are working to get back to full deep penetration or deep thrusting. So that's my second product of the day. Last thing I want to talk about for today, as far as pain with intimacy goes, like the act of sex itself, everything from start to finish, is a full body massager. Now, I want to say right off the bat, you might see this and be like, oh, that's a vibrator. Technically, yes, it is. But the reason why I like to talk about this is a full body massager, is that it doesn't need to necessarily be used in a sexual way. It can absolutely be used for sexual pleasure, for sexual intimacy, but it doesn't have to be. And oftentimes I encourage this just as a way to facilitate muscle relaxation. Vibration is a really wonderful sensation that feels good on our body. It can help to relax trigger points or muscle knots all over our body. So this can be used on your shoulders. This can be used on your inner thighs, on your glutes, on your back. A partner can use this on you. And this, obviously, it can be used for ways that are non-sexual and just simply relaxation and pain relieving in other parts of our body. And of course, it can be used in a sexual nature as well, for intimacy, for pleasure, for orgasm. And one other quick note that I want to say that sometimes can really help you, if you're experiencing pain with intimacy, specifically pain with penetration, is considering whether that is through manual stimulation, oral stimulation, through the use of a vibrator or a massager, is considering having an orgasm prior to penetration. And what that can do is that sometimes just the act of orgasm itself, those rhythmic contractions and the waves of ecstasy that comes with an orgasm, it can be enough to really help those muscles to actually relax, making the act of penetration itself much, much more enjoyable and less painful. So those are my 3 products for today. For like intimacy itself, I'm not necessarily talking about vaginal dilators in the sense of like how to use dilators or pelvic wands. That's a different topic for a different video, but these are the things that you can think about using or potentially implement into your sex life so that you can actually have less pain during intimacy itself. And so once again, just a quick recap, those 3 things include lubrication, which we went over the different subtypes, water-based lubrication, natural oil-based lubrication, and lastly, silicone-based lubricants. We talked about the O-nut, and then lastly, we talked about using either just like a massager, like a back massager or a full body massager, or an actual vibrator as well, for whether that is just muscle relaxation, like muscles in the rest of our body, or whether that is for sexual pleasure as well. All right? Well, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.